It started with the storm. Not the rain. The rain was nothing new, but the storm inside him. The one that weighed on his chest as he stood in the quiet halls of his organization. Aaron Holt was a leader, the one everyone looked to for direction, for guidance, for answers. And yet that night, staring out at the city skyline through rain-speckled glass, he felt none of those things. Instead, what he felt was failure and fear. His company, Holt Dynamics, had been his life's work, a tech firm built on innovation and ambition. But recently, the cracks had started to show. A failed product launch, layoffs, a client pullout that had sent shockwaves through his staff. Aaron had tried to stay steady through it all, to keep the machine running, but with every setback, the weight grew heavier. He turned from the window and looked around his office. Sterling awards lined the shelves, reminders of better times. But what good were accolades when your people didn't believe in tomorrow? That thought gnawed at him. The faces in his team meetings were strained, their enthusiasm drained. Survival, not success, had become their metric. And somewhere deep in his heart, Aaron wondered if it was his fault. Not the economy, the market, or fate, but his lack of vision or leadership. Then it hit him, hope. It wasn't just about making the right decisions or balancing the books. It was about something more. Hope wasn't a commodity. It was a lifeline, the thread connecting people to something bigger than themselves. People didn't just need answers, they needed belief. And Aaron realized, with startling clarity, that he hadn't been offering that. For months, he'd been the captain of a sinking ship, his hands paralyzed by the weight of doubts. But now maybe he needed to change. The next morning, he arrived at work early. He stood in the middle of the break room, holding a cup of lukewarm coffee, waiting as the first employees trickled in. Some nodded at him, most looked surprised. Aaron rarely came down to this level. He was the kind of leader who preferred structured meetings, presentations, decision-making behind closed doors. This wasn't his habitat. But then he smiled, a real smile, not the practiced one, and raised his voice just enough. "Can I get everyone's attention for a second?" They stared at him, tentative, curious. He explained his thoughts. The future was uncertain, yes, but it wasn't impossible. Holt Dynamics has always been about solving problems, finding solutions when nobody else can. I know things look dark right now, but I need you to hear me. We can turn this around. Together. We don't just sell ideas here. We sell hope. Over the next weeks, Aaron changed everything. Team meetings were no longer transactional. He started asking workers what inspired them, what they needed to feel motivated. He shared his own fears, unpolished and raw, so they'd know he wasn't above them. He opened the floor for collaboration, asking for input not just from his senior staff, but everyone, from interns to mailroom employees. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. People lingered longer in the hallways, talking to one another, igniting sparks Aaron hadn't seen since the early days. One Friday morning, Sarah, an analyst who rarely spoke, stood up during a brainstorming session. Her idea sounded bold, even risky, but her tone carried the same fire Aaron himself had tried to spark. Someone else chimed in, then another. By the end of the session, there were cheers. The company wasn't saved overnight, but Aaron knew what was happening. A belief in possibility. A belief in hope. Months later, Holt Dynamics underwent a reinvention. The product pipeline wasn't just innovative. It felt human, connected, driven by passion instead of desperation. Aaron walked through the halls on a quiet afternoon, the storm inside him replaced by steadiness. People smiled as he passed. For the first time in a long while, he smiled back. A dealer in hope. That was the leader he wanted to be.